CryptosRUs, I am George. Round 2 had some lagging issue. Hopefully that goes away with this stream. But in this video, I want to cover what happens next with Bitcoin, what's coming soon, and why next week is such a crucial week for Bitcoin. Yes, there's a lot of things happening. Also, I want to address what happened to Elon. Elon Musk, his effect, what happened to that? Why did Bitcoin get weak? Well, there was a lot of things going on yesterday afternoon and yesterday night. So there's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. And I was going to stream last night, but unfortunately I fell asleep. So thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, I have these streams 11 a.m. every weekday, and I tend to have them at night too and on the weekend. So if you are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and follow me on Twitter and Facebook. All right, and those of you guys that rejoined, thank you. You're in the chat. Let's get started. There's a lot to cover, All right, so here's Bitcoin's chart, 34,200. It got to 34,500 not too long ago. So Bitcoin is actually in a really, really good spot, although many people don't view it that way. But of course, let's recap what happened yesterday when Bitcoin was getting weak and Elon said, no, I'm going to upset things. I'm going to cause a lot of short sellers to get liquidated. He changed his profile to have Bitcoin, hashtag Bitcoin, pumped Bitcoin up almost to $39,000. And then in the afternoon, it kept going down, down, down. And then it kind of hovered around 34.5, which is now a crucial support / resistance. And since then, Bitcoin has broken below and now is trying to come right back up, right? And the reason why I say this is a very good spot is because Bitcoin is trying to hold at 34.5. Even if it goes up and down teeters, or it breaks through and utilize that as a support, that would be very, very positive. Because remember, we just got off of, let me zoom out a little bit, where Bitcoin was hovering between 34.5 and 30,000, right? And I said, we need to break out of this range, and the next range will be between 34.5, just say 35,000 and 40,000, right? So right now, Bitcoin is trying to regain that. They're still trying to. Bitcoin is still trying to utilize the momentum Elon generated, right? And that is why we're hovering right around there. And the weekend is young. It just started, right? So there's plenty of time for this afternoon and tomorrow for Bitcoin to make big moves, because there's a lot of things coming next week. All right. So to first address what happened, why did this start happening? Right? Why did Bitcoin start selling off? Why did a lot of altcoins start selling off? Why couldn't Bitcoin keep its momentum at 38,000? Well, there was a lot of things going on. A lot of people were pissed off, mostly because all the exchanges out there went down simultaneously. Almost like what happened with Robinhood. It almost seemed like they were colluding with one another. Every single one started going down. Coinbase, the biggest one, went down. Then Kraken went down, right? Binance even went down. Binance even said they went down. And then Voyager, a relatively new one I'm talking about, they were down, right? And, you know, this could not have come at a worse time, right? After the Elon effect, every news outlet was looking at it. Wall Street Bets was still ongoing. People were looking for alternative. So they were getting off of Robinhood. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Robinhood also suspended crypto buying, or instant buying, I should say. So people were waiting for their funds to settle, and that's not going to settle until next week. So as you can see, people were trying to get in, and no one could. No one could. There were just so much people trying to shift to crypto, and it was such a critical time. And unfortunately, everything was down, and this was not a good look. This is not a good look, right? Just what happened. Robinhood, people are looking for alternative, and when they're turning to alternative, everything didn't work. So first of all, a lot of new players in the game, they're like, screw it, you know, this is not for me, right? This is one of the reasons why, you know, like PayPal and Square Cash App, right? And I even mentioned Robinhood before. is because these kind of apps make it very easy for people to come in right away without dealing with a whole bunch of nonsense and without dealing with a huge learning curve. And unfortunately, the first real test that we had, I would say all of these players failed. They failed miserably. So hopefully they're spending all weekend to beef up their infrastructure. And I call out Coinbase the most because they are one of the dominant leaders and they have a lot of money and they plan on doing an IPO. So they better beef up their infrastructure, right? I hope all these exchanges are getting ready because next week could be just as explosive, if not more, than this week. So they better be prepared for the volume. And if they are, I think we're going to see a massive amount of inflows into Bitcoin and cryptos, which would be a very, very good thing, right? So that is number one. And this was basically the entire day yesterday. Like I said, could not come at a worse time. I think this had a big effect. Why people got scared, new money didn't come in, people started selling, especially those people that got in. They're like, what is going on? I can't trade, I can't do anything. I might as well sell, right? So that came out, and that was really, really bad. The second thing that came out, and many people have mentioned it, is India is causing some more FUD. They plan on introducing a law to ban basically all crypto. Remember, we just got done with this. The Indian banks basically stopped doing business with all Indian exchanges. That court case went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled that the banks was not legally able to do that. So it looked like that was being resolved. And then India, all their exchanges was going to open up again. And things were going to be back to normal. Well, now there's rumors that no, that's not the case. The entire country, the legislator there wants to basically ban everything because they want to introduce their own crypto, their one that is going to be controlled by their central bank and so forth, right? The thing is, I just don't get what that resolves. That doesn't resolve anything. When you have a country like India, and I don't know too much about their financial structure, but I do know there are some very wealthy individuals and companies, and then there are a lot of individuals that's very, very, very poor. So simply switching from fiat rubles to a digital ruble, I think it's ruble, right? Or am I thinking Russian? But whatever their fiat is, their denomination, just because it goes digital doesn't solve any problem, right? There's still going to be inflation. There's still going to be rampant inflation. There's going to be more minting rather than printing. So I don't think it solves anything. But I can understand why those in charge would want to introduce a digital currency. It just makes it easy for them. All they have to do is press buttons. There's no more printing anymore. And I can see why they want to ban other crypto like Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is a store of value. It's going to really compete with their digital currency because people are going to say, what's the point of holding on to this digital currency that's created by the central bank when I could buy something that isn't controlled by anyone, that's very limited in supply, and it is a store of value and has been going up and up and up, for the last 12 years, right? So I could see why the government wants to do this. So the good thing is this is just being proposed, okay? This is not law yet. So if this goes, maybe it does go through and gets enacted, the Supreme Court, maybe they could do something about it, right? I don't know how it is over there, but this is another reason why we had a setback yesterday, because a lot of people were worried about this, right? But quite honestly, most of the Bitcoin and crypto trading is not conducted in India, even though they have a lot of citizens, but most is conducted in North America, South Korea, Japan, right? And Australia, UK. So I don't know how much this really affects things, but it definitely did cause some FUD. So I do believe this also caused yesterday's drop as well. It's a combination, this and how every single freaking exchange out there was pretty much down, right? I mean, Coinbase is the one that most people naturally turn to. So that is just horrendous. That Coinbase, this was their opportunity to shine. Everyone is trying to look at alternative to Robinhood. They're looking at Coinbase. Coinbase shot up to number one on the app chart, and then they were down, right? And I was also equally disappointed with Voyager. You know, I introduced Voyager to a lot of you guys. Their app is good when it's working, but they had so much disruptions. They were pretty much down the entire day, and pretty much down the entire day before that. Now, their response is that they received 100x more new clients per that one day than their entire user base. So whatever they had, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 user base, it went up 100x within a single day. That's why they couldn't handle it. So if that's true, then yeah, I'll give them that. That's hard to prepare for, right? But that shows you the opportunity there is, right? And that's why I'm hoping all these guys really solve their problems for next week, because next week could be even more explosive because of Wall Street bets is still going on, right? People are still talking about what's going on. Power to the people. People are looking for a better alternative. They're looking at DeFi. They're looking at Bitcoin, right? So hopefully they're getting ready for that. Now, what else is coming next week? There's a lot of things coming next week, right? And I'm going to talk about Elon, but the biggest thing has to be Bitcoin for corporations. And I've been saying this for a while. I've been hyping up this. This is coming next week. This is a huge conference where Michael Saylor shares his playbook with CEOs from across the world, right? As big as MicroStrategy is, they're not really big at all when you compare their market cap to other companies. But they are approaching like $7 billion. When they first started this, they were about a $1.5 billion company. Now they are worth $7 billion, and they're getting close to $10 billion. And that's what I said. People are buying MicroStrategy stock, and this includes banks. They're buying it because they want exposure to Bitcoin. They could care less about what MicroStrategy does with their business intelligence, right? And it's working. But a lot of people is paying attention to what he did, not only because they care about Bitcoin, but also because they want to raise the market cap on their own company, right? So this is going to be massive, in my opinion. It's going to be absolutely massive. And guess what? Now that Elon, put the hashtag in his profile, I honestly think there's a good chance he will be attending, or someone from Tesla will be attending. And I don't know how it's going to be, right, in this conference, whether or not they're going to use real names or what. I don't know if he's going to use his real name, but I'm pretty certain that Elon is going to be paying attention. I think a lot of people is paying attention because they don't like the current establishment. They don't like how things are being done. And these are CEOs of multi-billion-dollar companies, because they know the stress from the short sellers. They know the stress from Wall Street, how they have to keep performing, yet their company and stock, their livelihood is being disrupted by the hedge funds and short sellers of the world, right? So sometimes it's just not very fair. So you have a lot of people that is jumping into the cause, not just to make a quick buck, although most people are, but there are a lot of people truly seeking for alternatives, right? And I think Bitcoin for corporations, this could not have come at a better time. It's almost like Michael Saylor is the Bitcoin time traveler, right? Seeing what we just went through last week, I mean, this could not have been planned out at a better time. Honestly, this is the time you want to have this conference. Next week, as the saga continues with GameStop and all these other stocks, right, and Wall Street Bets and everyone else, guess what? The focus is going to turn to Bitcoin, right? If Wall Street Bets and what they're doing is trying to disrupt hedge funds, guess what's even better? What's trying to disrupt the whole financial industry? What's trying to compete or bring down fiat everywhere, right? That's Bitcoin. If you really want a change, you want to support Bitcoin, right? So I think this is planned out perfectly, which is why next week is so crucial for Bitcoin, right? This is going to be absolutely huge. Obviously, if someone like Elon also jumps in and declares that he's buying Bitcoin, right, with his own money or with Tesla's reserve cash, which they have a lot of, that's going to be just as explosive. Yesterday, when Bitcoin shot up like 6,000 points because of Elon's one change in his profile, imagine if he actually declares, yes, I want to see change. I'm going to be buying Bitcoin. that is going to be even more explosive, right? So a lot of things going on, right? Now, another thing that kind of relates to Elon and kind of doesn't, and I saw this is very interesting, Tim Draper. A lot of people don't really talk about him anymore, but Tim Draper is Tim Draper. Basically a serial entrepreneur, investor. He has invested in some of the biggest companies, tech companies out there, including Robinhood, and he has made billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. He has the foresight to see a lot of trends, right? And he's been a Bitcoin bug for a long time. In fact, when Silk Road was shut down and 30,000 Bitcoin was confiscated and the FBI was auctioning off, guess who bought it all? This guy. Tim Draper bought it all. And that has netted him billions now. But anyways, he's jumping in. He realized the Elon effect is real, right? So he tweeted out to Elon. He's like, hey, you know what? I would like to buy a Tesla Cybertruck. Me too. I would like to buy a Cybertruck. I put down my $100 deposit. Although I personally rather keep my own Bitcoin. You can accept Bitcoin through Draper VC company OpenNode. So he's, shilling his own company. That's fine. But I think it's just a matter of time too that Tesla just opens up, buying with crypto, right? Specifically Bitcoin and Dogecoin, since he loves Dogecoin so much, right? So I think that's also coming, and that would be pretty big too, just to even have that on the website where you could pay with Bitcoin or you could pay with Dogecoin. That would be pretty big, right? And this is just natural. I mean, every company out there should just figure out how to do so, right? Whether or not they store it afterwards, that's a different story. Obviously, OpenNode, I'm assuming like all their payment, processors kind of, they accept Bitcoin and they'll keep it, they'll sell it to cash for the vendor, right? But it's still a big endorsement. So Tim Draper obviously jumping in a bandwagon. And speaking more about Tim Draper, he went on CNBC. He was asked, what is he going to do with his Bitcoin? Is he going to do something with it? You know what? Let me play this for you guys. It's very short, but I think his answer is important. Is important. All right, let's do this.
I'm actually just buying more. The thinking is that over time we're going to be able to spend it, and I have no interest in ever selling my Bitcoin for dollars. Why would I take the currency of the future and sell it for the currency of the past? I mean, do I want like Confederate dollars? No. So I'm looking to continue to build on my currency of the future, but long term, I'm in the venture capital business. I'd like to put this Bitcoin to work. And I think that the regulators are going to recognize that this is a valuable way for people to conduct business, and they get their tax dollars, they get their share.
Okay.
And with my business, I can actually raise money in Bitcoin, invest it into a bunch of companies in Bitcoin, have them pay their employees and suppliers in Bitcoin, and the whole thing keeps a perfect record of everybody's financials all the way through. So I can see how my portfolios are doing. I can identify
I love that. Hey,
possible risks.
I mean, whatever one might believe, you can pay in Bitcoin too.
Investors in Bitcoin on a smart contract that then filters through the waterfall on a smart contract. So I don't need to have a transfer agent. I don't need to have the audit.
Gotcha.
I don't have to have the accountants. I don't have to have the bookkeepers. It's all done right there on the blockchain. This is
You gotta love this host, right? That really did not want him. You could tell the host really did not want him to continue on. The host is basically anti-Bitcoin. He's the person I covered before that told everyone to basically not buy Bitcoin since it surpassed 20,000. But yeah, that pissed me off a little bit. He kept trying to just stop him, cut him off. But you could obviously tell Tim Draper, you know, he was Michael Saylor before Michael Saylor. It's just that no one really paid attention to him. But he's been very, very bullish on Bitcoin. Not only Bitcoin, he invested in a lot of crypto companies, and you could see that he's not selling his Bitcoin for cash. He realizes cash is just, it's just ancient, right? Why would you buy something that is, why would you convert it? Yeah, basically, why would you buy cash with something that is more antique than Bitcoin, right? And he believes that Bitcoin will expand. You'll be able to use it in the future. And all the companies that he's investing in right now, right? He's paying them, he's investing in them, paying them in Bitcoin. He expects them to pay their employees and their suppliers in Bitcoin, right? And you know what? Yeah, that's a very, very good thing. You guys are asking about who the host is. You know what? I'll show you, because that video actually was pretty good. If you guys, it's like, I think his name is John something. Where is he? Man, it must have been a while. This guy right here. I did a month ago. CNBC analyst, can't stop laughing. So he's been promoted from analyst to host now. And I forgot his name, John something. So he was laughing at Bitcoin, and his body demeanor was really, really awful. So you could tell he's not a Bitcoin guy, right? And even in this interview, he was just trying to cut off Tim Draper left and right. So if you guys didn't watch that, go ahead and watch that. I might even put a link, you know, so it's easier for you guys to find. I can't put a link right now. I will put a link later in the description and the comments below. All right, so besides Tim Draper, what else is there? Well, you know what? Guess who wants to join in on the fun? Visa. Visa may add cryptocurrencies to its payment network, says CEO. So, of course, they do not want to miss out, right? Because Visa is threatened. Bitcoin has a higher market cap than Visa and MasterCard. And you know what? They're recognizing, well, you know what? We can't really spread FUD about Bitcoin anymore or crypto. We have to join in. Otherwise, we're going to become ancient, right? So that is exactly what they're going to do. They're going to work with all the exchanges. They're going to work with all the vendors, right? Basically to help them accept cryptocurrency. Right now, I don't know how this will work with Square, you know, with all the terminals and stuff. I think Visa just worries about their name, their brand recognition, you know, how all the debit cards and credit cards that is now coming out with based on crypto. I think they're just going to allow that more, right? But they're basically trying to enter the space, just like PayPal, right? PayPal is working with vendors, you know, and merchants and users. Visa kind of wants to do the same thing. They want to just work with everyone to make sure that you're utilizing one of their cards when you're making a crypto payment, which kind of doesn't make any sense, but they are trying to jump in the bandwagon, right? So that, I guess, in itself is positive, because it shows that, again, this is adding legitimacy. Not that Bitcoin or crypto needs more legitimacy, but it does show that it is here to stay. There's no way that you have the biggest credit cards, banks, central banks, they're all paying attention. They're all diving in. Some of the biggest tech firms, some of the biggest institutions, they're all jumping in. So definitely shows that Bitcoin is not going to go away anytime soon. Now, I know some people are asking about XRP, why it's being pumped up today. Well, there is no good reason. It is being pumped up simply because people are pumping it up. I do think a lot of the Dogecoin profits, Dogecoin is down 50%, but still it's holding relatively well. It was holding above 3 cents even this morning. And it started selling off a little bit because I think a lot of people try to jump into the XRP pump. Now, this pump could continue. It could definitely continue, but it's already fading. And you know what? In my personal opinion, I would stay away from XRP because this lawsuit is not going well. In fact, you know, Ripple's next move is to demand why the SEC declared Bitcoin and Ether are not securities. So this kind of defense is not very good. Basically, Ripple cannot prove why they're not a security. What Brad and Chris Larson did by selling off massive amount of XRP to enrich their own pockets, why that wasn't declared. All this stuff, they're having a hard time proving to the SEC. So now they're trying to demand to get a record why Ethereum and Bitcoin are not declared security. So then they're going to try to utilize that and piggyback off of that. So you can tell the defense is a little weak at this point. So I don't know how that's going to go. But so I would ignore this XRP pump. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. It's going to just go be a pump and dump, and it's already coming down. So I think it's best that you guys don't fall for that, right? Now, lastly, one more video, since I'm just going to keep it more entertaining here. So this has nothing to do with crypto, yet we know inadvertently it does because people are seeking alternatives. Right? So you have a very, very, very serious guy, Massachusetts Secretary of State. He was asked about this whole Robinhood thing. And of course, I think you know what his answer is. Just look at how serious he looks. And yes, throughout the entire interview, he is that serious. Very, very serious guy. And then Kevin O'Leary, who is the entrepreneur and argues against him, right? And I think this brings up some interesting points. Between free trade and between heavy regulation. Because this guy is arguing that we need a lot more regulations, stricter markets, stricter rules to prevent what's happening, while Kevin is like, no, let the free market dictate itself, right? Let the market dictate itself, be transparent, so that people can decide what to do with their own money, right? So I think this relates to crypto a lot because people that are in crypto, that believe in crypto, want that freedom. They want free market to basically dictate itself. Well, yes, and to remove some manipulation, inside trading, of course, but overall have less rules, less regulations, and just let the people dictate what they want to do with their money, right? So that's why I want to show you guys it's actually a very good interview. And I know Kevin O'Leary has not been the biggest Bitcoin bull as of late, right? But I do think that could be a lie. It could be just a facade that he's just pretending. But let's take a listen at this one.
Based on what the events of the past couple of weeks, Secretary?
Absolutely. No question about it. First of all, the whole issue here is not simply about an individual company or an individual issue. It's about the honesty of the marketplace and the reliability of the marketplace and the danger a defective and dishonest marketplace has to our economy. We're at a time of a contracting economy. Having this type of activity going on the way it is just unacceptable. There's no doubt. The one thing that everyone in this discussion can agree about it, there is no reality to these trades and these issues that we've been speaking about. They're not based on anything other than speculation. And clearly, when the market is engaging in that type of conduct, that is not good. I think it's a broader question, though. I think the whole issue of shorting has to be addressed. Whether shorting, whether it's by hedge funds or anybody, is in the best interest of the market. Clearly, shorting is going to go on, and we need to have shorting as a defense in the marketplace. But there should be some restrictions on shorting. Maybe it's on the uptick. There needs to be a review by the national regulator on shorting in the marketplace. Having said that, in the short run, no pun intended, it is extremely important, I think, to get control of the marketplace back again. I voiced my concern the other day about the effect on unsophisticated investors. Obviously, some of those who think they're sophisticated took offense at that. I'm concerned about the marketplace, though, and I'm concerned about the spillover effect of all of this activity on other aspects of the market, ETFs, other aspects of the market, which weakens the overall situation. This is not a good time to be playing these games. The national regulator needs to get involved here and promptly. In addition to that, I think, as I suggested previously, if we didn't trade in these types of issue at all, this particular one I was speaking was GameStop, for a period of time, I think that would have an effect. I'm not just talking about those who trade through Reddit or individual investors. I'm talking about people across the board. There needs to be a review of this entire conduct. This is extremely dangerous to the marketplace and dangerous to our economy.
What do you think, Kevin?
All right, so he said a lot. Obviously, some things I do agree with, but overall, you could tell this guy is all business, and he wants more and more and more restrictions, reviews, regulations, right? And basically, he's just all out about, just hammer everything with more regulations, right? So this is why people are getting away from traditional investments and looking at DeFi and crypto in the first place, because they don't want so much. They want the free market to dictate, right? That's where Kevin comes in, and he's a very smart guy, and he nailed this guy with his answers.
I don't agree with any of that. The truth is the market has always been a speculative place. No, but I think you have to hear the other side of this, Bill, because at the end of the day, there's some very powerful forces in play here that are actually good. So let me take a shot at it. The definition of the market is speculation. When you buy and stay long a stock, you're speculating the profits you hope are going to come finally appear, and you take that risk. The best thing we could do for this market now is leave it alone and just shine the light of transparency on it. If you are short, let it be transparent. You now run a new risk that these effective social media vigilantes are going to come after you and squeeze you as a short. That's going to make a lot of hedge funds think a second time before they try and go short stocks, which I think is great. But here's the point that I think everybody is missing. 4 or 5 years ago, we had 100 million Americans with nothing set aside for their retirements. We still do. And that's because our educational system, including the one in Massachusetts where I had my kids and they grew up in, best schools in the world, I would argue, they taught them nothing about investing. And then along comes a platform like Robinhood, and all of a sudden, kids in their 20s and 30s that would never get touched by Money Center Bank or an online broker because they're not a profitable account. They only have a few $100s to invest. Vlad and his team create this platform and now have millions of people learning about the ways of the market. And the market, even for sophisticated investors.
They're learning by losing, though. They're learning by losing.
Every investor loses money, Bill. Every loser. Everyone learns from the market.
I don't think we...
So you're going to protect me from...
First of all, I wanted to stop right there. How are they losing? The people that are jumping into GameStop, they're winning. So they're not losing, first of all. But of course, Kevin is right. Everyone that starts investing, they're not 100%. If everyone is right all the time, everyone become a billionaire. Of course, you learn from your mistakes, right? So I don't even get that argument. And I do love what Kevin said about transparency, right? If these short sellers, these hedge funds want to short, make it transparent, because they're all going to become targets, and it's going to basically make them, rethink their position, right? So I think Kevin's makes a whole lot of sense. Let the free market dictate itself. Don't put more regulations. Let it dictate itself, and that is what's going on with DeFi and crypto right now, right? But let's just continue.
From losing money? Are you kidding? Speculation is the definition of the market.
I don't kid.
The bottom line is when you put money in harm's way in the market, you risk it. That will always be the way after both you and I are gone. And the more regulation you put on it, the more you hurt it. Because some people to investing a millisecond is an investment, and others 10 years. And you shouldn't have the right to define it for them. Let the market do that. That's what the market does. If we want viable capital markets, you have to let the market be the market. Just shine transparency on it. Don't try and make rules that have all kinds of second consequences that you can't determine at this point.
There is no transparency. There is no transparency here.
It's more transparent today.
In many aspects.
You can't say that what happened over the last 48 hours, the last two trading sessions, wasn't driven by transparency. We've never had millions of people at night talking to each other in social media saying, there's a hedge fund that's short, let's go get them. You want to stick it to the man? I have no problem with it.
Being made.
All right, I'll end it at that, right? I know this has nothing to do with crypto, but this kind of shows you this kind of mentality, the Secretary of State. This is the mentality of most of the people out there that's controlling finance, controlling the stock market, controlling the brokerages, right? They want more regulations. You know why? Because they want to shut down the little people. They don't want you and I and average Joes to excel at what they mastered. Like Kevin also pointed out, no one learns about investing or personal finance in school. They learn how to become workers at corporations or small businesses, no one really teaches you stuff, and that's why, unfortunately, a lot of people don't invest, or why people don't even know about Bitcoin or crypto, right? They just kind of feel like that's not their thing, right? But I totally agree. This is what the free market is all about. This is why it's so outrageous when Robinhood restricted trading. So I do agree that that needs to be looked at, but overall, you got to let the people do what they want with their money. And that is why I think next week and ongoing, the saga with GameStop, with Robinhood, with everyone that's involved, it's going to turn a lot of people to alternatives, right? To DeFi. Even Mark Cuban started talking about DeFi, right? And also turn them to the bigger picture, the broken financial system, and guess what is trying to fix that or replace it? Bitcoin, right? So that's why I think next week and week afterwards, we're going to see a lot more people get educated. And that's why I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, that all these exchanges like Coinbase, Kraken, Binance even, Binance.us, Voyager, they all fix their platform, because I think next week you'll have an influx of people coming in that wants to learn more, that wants to get involved, and they better all be ready. And of course, I mentioned Bitcoin for corporations. This is going to be just as big, right? All right. So that's pretty long. That's pretty long already. Real quick, I want to talk about a few altcoins a lot of you guys are wondering about. I talked about XRP. It is just a random pump, but the two that I've kept talking about for a long time, Uniswap and Aave, they are doing exceptional. They are going to keep going, in my opinion. I think they will be in the top 10 pretty soon. DeFi now more than ever is getting hot, and people are looking for, alternatives to centralized entities. So Coinbase, Kraken, these guys, unfortunately, they're a centralized exchange, where Uniswap, a DEX, is not, and Aave is not, right? So these are decentralized entities. They're really good at what they do, which is why they've gone up. And even Dogecoin, which I talked about a lot recently, me personally, I was hoping it go to 1 cent, 10 cent, like a lot of people, right? But I do think that the fact that it's still holding this well, hasn't crashed down to sub 1 penny, show that there's a good amount of people that still believe in Dogecoin and are holding it. And who knows if Elon opens it up, right? And if you go down the list, a lot of DeFi stuff, Synthetic is doing well, Compound is doing well, SushiSwap is doing well. You could see that DeFi is really, really hot right now. And going down the list here, what is it? Where's the one I just talked about? Voyager is really hot right now, because mostly I'm theorizing it's almost 250, is because people want to find ways to get away from Coinbase. They were looking for a really good app, which Voyager provides, and they were probably looking for a way to buy Dogecoin, which you could do so on Voyager, right? Or you can find a way to buy Voyager tokens, which is also on Voyager app. So that is why it's doing really well at number 66, and this keeps climbing, which is doing really nice. I mentioned about 1inch recently. That has been doing really well. That's also a DeFi aggregator, a DEX aggregator. So as you can see, DeFi is really, really hot right now, and people are really looking for ways to get away from centralized entities, right? Yeah. All right, I'll turn to you guys for some Q&A. On Binance, it's a different symbol. It's like BQX. It's not VGX. BQX. So you can get it on Binance, but unfortunately not Binance.us. So if you're in the US, you're looking for Voyager, you're pretty much stuck just buying it on the app. I know 1inch is like possibly the worst name ever created in history, but it's a DEX aggregator, and it optimizes your trade. So it actually looks like a pretty good project. Press secretary works for Citadel, who owns Robinhood. I mean, that's the good thing, right? That's the good thing. That's why I agree with this guy, Massachusetts Secretary of State. The one thing I do agree upon is the SEC and authorities need to look at this connection. And as SEC declared they will. This connection between Citadel, Malvern Capital, and Robinhood, they're all seem to be, colluding together, right? And if it's caught that they did plan to manipulate and suppress buying, and then they increased their shorts afterwards, which is rumored is what happened, they're all going to go to jail. So that I do agree with. But in terms of everything else, I agree with Kevin. And you know what? Let the free market dictate itself. And let people do what they want with their money without being restricted or controlled or asked a million questions what you're going to do with your money, right? That's the whole point of Bitcoin and crypto. And I think this is going to turn a lot of people to it. Sean, thank you. Please do a video focused on security and best practice to keep your funds safe. That's going to be a hard one. I mean, for the most part, you want to keep your funds in control on a hardware wallet, right? But recently, there's been a lot of negativity around that because there's a lot of articles and reports about people losing their private keys or losing their passwords, right? So it's turning some people off from it. But I mean, ultimately, that's what you want to do. I don't know about creating dedicated videos. Maybe I did before, so it's interesting. I'll think about it. But there's a lot of articles about it. Basically, you want to control your own keys. Then you become your own bank, right? Obviously, that's the best way to do it. So no one can tell you where to store it, what to do with it, ask for your KYC information. But you do have to be very careful about how you control your private keys and password. Sam asks, I'm looking at Aston Martins. Have you driven any? No, I have not. Unfortunately, no. And in my car review channel, Drivers Only, I tend to stay away from hyper exotics or just exotics in general because most people are searching for like Toyota Camrys or RAV4s or CRVs. Most people are not searching for Aston Martins or Maseratis or Ferraris or Lambos. So I tend to stay away from them. But things might change. Things might change in the future. G-Wagons are so expensive. There's no reason why G-Wagons should be as expensive as it is, but they are. All right. So as for Bitcoin, just looking at a chart here, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I think it's looking pretty good. Despite the fact we came down because I explained about the exchanges being out and that India FUD. But, right now, Bitcoin is trying to break above this 34.5. I mentioned how this is a critical resistance / support, right? We've been hovering in this range for a while now, 30,000 and 34.5. We need to break above and do this, right? Where we're going up and down. That would be the next range. And Bitcoin is trying to press against that despite the fact that there's a lot of bad negativity going on. But next week, it's crucial. I think a lot of exchanges now, they've been getting an influx of users because of Wall Street bets, right? And as long as they stay open and they're operational, people will be able to buy when they need to buy, right? So that's very crucial for next week. And also Bitcoin for corporations, very, very crucial. We're going to hear a lot of people attend and a lot of corporations buying Bitcoin afterwards. And I'm hoping Elon does attend and declares because that would be enormous. Or even just open up the Tesla buying with crypto. That would be enormous already. But I do think, he's just as sick of short sellers and Wall Street as much as the next person. He's not a financial guy. He just wants to build, right? Not everyone's a fan of Elon, I know that. But ultimately, what he wants to do is just build. He's just a builder, basically. And he hates what has happened with Tesla over the years, with short sellers, with the negativity, with Wall Street basically saying it can't possibly go up anymore because PE ratio is off and this and that. He wants to get rid of all that. He wants to go against that. And the best way to do it is Bitcoin, which is why he put Bitcoin on his profile and tweeted that Bitcoin, it was inevitable, right? Talking about Bitcoin. So I do think he might be attending. All right, guys, I'll leave you guys to get back to your Saturday. So overall, that's what's happening next week. Why it's such a crucial week, even today and tomorrow. I think it'll be pretty interesting because if Bitcoin could break above 34.5 and utilizes the support, then we're good. We're on our way to $40,000. And now that we're cleared, also on Friday, we had Bitcoin options and futures, right? That is now cleared out for the next month. So basically, you know, it paved way for, I mean, it opened the cap, right, for Bitcoin, at least short term. Brian, big super chat. Thank you. How far are we into the post-halving increase cycle compared to previous cycles? I know you previously said the pump starts a year following the halving, but how far are we into this pump cycle? We're at the beginning. I mean, if you just look at the last cycle, can I go back? Get back. Where is it? If you go back to 2017, right? Well, this is... Man, now you're making me stay longer because you're a big super chat. Last cycle, Bitcoin started, you know, it got up to all-time high, and then it came down a little bit. Ever since then, that was January 12th of 2017, and then since then, it went up to 20,000 basically. That was over 1,500% gain. This 1,500% gain is from 1,200 to 20,000, but it actually went down a little bit. It actually started a little bit lower, and even over here, it dropped to about 900 before it started going, right? So that was after the halving event, right? And this is where we are. We actually should, according to previous times, we should be at more like 18,000, 20,000. So we're actually way ahead. We're already at, you know, 30,000 plus, and we were at 40,000, but this is right at the beginning of the climb to the end of 2021 and moving in 2022. And if it does go 1,500%, you know, Bitcoin will be at crazy numbers. So to answer your question, we're right at where we're supposed to be at the very beginning. And in fact, I would argue we're ahead of where we're supposed to be compared to even the last cycle. So hopefully that answers that. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. As always, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. I may have a stream tonight, or I will have one tomorrow. So make sure you hit that notification bell and follow me on Twitter and Facebook. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.